ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Namaskar my dear friends. I am starting videos on Katha Upanishad or Kathopanishad. This is one of the 11 most important Upanishads. The Katha Upanishad is widely read both in the East and in the West. The knowledge of the self is here described in a lucid style almost unparalleled in the philosophical writings of the world. Max Muller has said that the French, German, and English translators of the Upanishads regard this treatise as one of the most perfect specimens of the mystic philosophy and poetry of the ancient Hindus. The Upanishads form, for the most part, the concluding portions of the Brahmana sections of the Vedas. But the exact relationship of the Katha Upanishad to the Vedas is a controversial subject, some associating with the Samaveda, some with the Yajurveda, and others with the Atharvaveda. The Brahmanas of the Taittiriya Yajurveda contains a story of Naciketa very similar to the one found in the Katha Upanishad. So this type of controversies, they are not important. We should emphasize what is contained, what is the gist of the Upanishad. So these controversies we need not worry about. Like all the Upanishads, the Katha Upanishad aims at inculcating the knowledge of Brahma, which alone, according to Vedanta, enables a man to attain immortality and freedom. As the subject is profound and difficult to grasp, the Upanishad, following an ancient Hindu method, begins with an illustrative tale. There once lived a rishi named Vajasravas who performed a sacrifice that required, among other things, the giving away by the sacrificer of all his wealth. He had a son, he had a son named Nachiketa who, though young, cherished a reverence for spiritual things. When the cows were brought for distribution among the Brahmins and priests who were to conduct the sacrifice, Nachiketa found them to be old and unfit for any use. Such an unworthy gift, the boy realized, would only bring misery to his father after death. And so, since he was eager to save his father from this impending calamity, he said to him that his son was also property and should be included among the things for distribution. He wished to know, therefore, to whom he was going to be given. 3 times he asked the question, but Vajasravasa, who was only annoyed by what he regarded as impudence on the part of his son, and he answered angrily that he would give him to Yama, the king of death. Nachiketa obeyed his father and proceeded to the abode of Yama, the latter as the arbiter of man's final destiny and the bestower of punishments and rewards, held a high position among the gods. He was reputed, moreover, to be a teacher of the knowledge of Brahma. Yama was away when Nachiketa arrived and only returned after 3 days. He sought to make amends for not having been there to receive his worthy guest and for any discourtesy that might have been shown to him during his absence by allowing him 3 boons, one for each night. Nachiketa asked as the first boon the allaying both of his father's anger and of his anxiety on account of his son's absence from home. As the second boon, he desired to know the fire sacrifice by which one goes to Brahmaloka, the plane of Brahma, and enjoys there a long life of felicity, free from disease and old age, sorrow and fear. Both boons were granted. Then, with the asking of the third boon, the teachings of the Upanishad begin. Nachiketa wished to know whether or not there was an immortal substance in a man that survived the death of the body. He asked, in other words, for the most treasured secret of the Indo-Aryan wisdom, the secret of Atma, its nature, its origin, and its destiny. A teacher, however, must first test the fitness of his pupil before instructing him in the secret of Atma. If the latter is to assimilate this knowledge, he must have cultivated keen discrimination, utter detachment, a sincere longing for truth, and a tranquil mind. He must have renounced all desire for the perishable pleasures both of earth and of heaven. Therefore, Yama offered Nachiketa various temptations, both earthly and celestial, such as sons, grandsons, wealth, cattle, world empire, long life, and heavenly damsels and music. The young aspirant, endowed with a sharp intelligence and calm mind, discarded them all since he knew them, belonging as they did to the mortal order of things to be impermanent since he was a seeker of immortality. He persisted in his determination to pierce the veil that hides self knowledge, and Yama granted him his desired boon. Yama taught that the self in man is none other than the spirit behind the universe, which is described in the Vedas through the sacred symbol Om. The knowing self is not born, it does not die, it has not sprung from anything, nothing has sprung from it, birthless, eternal, everlasting, and ancient. It is not killed when the body is killed. If the killer thinks he kills, and if the killed man thinks he is killed, neither of these apprehends aright. The self kills not, nor is it killed. Atma, the self, is all pervading consciousness and the inner core of all things, great and small. Though dwelling in the body, it is bodiless. Though associated with changing things, it is unchanging. One cannot know Atma either by means of much study or through a keen intellect. When the mind becomes pure through devotion and righteous action, through self control and contemplation, it then becomes serene and reflects the majesty of Atma. Yama, continuing, said that control of the mind and senses and not their repression is the most effective spiritual discipline for a man in the attainment of his spiritual goal. The teacher gave the vivid illustration of a chariot which can take the rider to his destination only when it is well built and when the driver, endowed with discrimination, restrains the impetuous horses by means of strong reins and guides them along the designated roads. Likewise, the body must be healthy, the intellect free from uncertainty, should control by means of a strong will the naturally turbulent sense organs and allow them to enjoy only those objects that are conducive to spiritual progress. Further, through meditation, the aspirant must acquire inwardness of mind and maintain an unwavering determination that will hold him to his journey till the goal is reached, for the path is sharp as the edge of a razor. Atma dwells in the hearts of all and is a man's inmost essence. It animates his physical, vital, and mental activities. It is the unaltered witness of his experiences during waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. Though appearing to be identified with the functions of the body and the mind, it is transcendental. The attributes of the body do not cling to Atma, just as water does not cling to a lotus leaf. The knowledge of the deathless Atma, which Nachiketa wished to acquire from Yama, is itself immortality. Immortality is not produced by this knowledge. Anything that is produced has a beginning and an end and cannot be immortal. The self always exists, undimmed and undiminished, neither waxing nor waning through a man's good or bad actions. Like the sun, however, it can be hidden by the cloud of ignorance and is revealed when the ignorance is destroyed by knowledge. An illumined person endowed with self knowledge attains deathlessness, though he may assume or discard a body at will, like a man putting on a garment or taking it off. Self knowledge bestows liberation from the suffering of phenomenal existence. When a mortal renounces finite desires which are created by ignorance and are alien to his self, he realizes immortality in this very life. Others remain victims of birth and death in the world of untruth. Therefore, anyone desiring freedom and immortality should separate the immortal self from the mortal body with the help of a steady and vigilant mind. It is reiterated by Vedantic teachers that the truth of Atma is revealed when a qualified aspirant, instructed by an illumined teacher, practices the disciplines of the self control, meditation, and inwardness of mind. Sri Shankaracharya's introduction. Om. Salutation to the Supreme Lord. Salutation to Yama, the King of Death, the son of Viswas, the teacher of the knowledge of Brahma. Salutation to Nachiketa. We propose to give a brief commentary on the following chapters comprising the Katha Upanishad for the easy comprehension of their import. The word Upanishad is formed by adding the suffix kvip and the prefix upa and ni to the verbal root sad, which means to loosen, to destroy, and to attain. The word denotes the knowledge of the entity Brahma sought to be established by the book we are about to explain. By what etymological process does the word Upanishad signify that knowledge? We reply. This knowledge is called Upanishad because it shatters, kills, and destroys avidya or ignorance, the seed of samsara in those seekers after liberation who, having lost all thirst for objects seen and heard of, approach upa, the knowledge is the knowledge designated as Upanishad to be explained presently and cultivated with utter firmness and devotion. As will be stated in this Upanishad, having realized Atma, one is freed from the jaws of death or the knowledge of Brahma. Brahma Vidya is termed Upanishad because it is a means to the attainment of Brahma. It enables seekers of liberation who are endowed with the above mentioned dispassion to attain the supreme Brahma, as will be stated later. Having received this wisdom, Nachiketa became free from impurities and death. Or lastly, the knowledge of fire, Agni Vidya, is called Upanishad because the verbal root Sad also means to loosen. The knowledge of fire, the firstborn and omniscient offspring of Brahma, the knowledge that was sought by Nachiketa as his second boon, leads to the attainment of heaven and thereby loosens the possibility of such misery as repeated dwelling in a womb, birth, and old age, which one experiences in other planes of existence. As will be stated later, the inhabitants of heaven attain immortality. The objection may be raised that students apply the word Upanishad even to the book. One hears such statements as we study the Upanishad and we teach the Upanishad. In answer, it may be said that there is no fault in such use of the word. The meaning of the verbal root sad, as has already been stated, is the destruction of the avidya, the cause of samsara. This is possible only through knowledge and not merely through a book. But the book also serves the same purpose, namely the establishment of the knowledge of Brahma. It is therefore properly designated by this name. For instance, uses such an expression as the clarified butter is verily life. Therefore, the word Upanishad means primarily knowledge and secondarily the book. By this etymological interpretation of the Upanishad are stated the qualifications of those who are competent for knowledge. The subject matter of the Upanishad is Supreme Brahma, the inmost self of all. The purpose served by the Upanishad is the attainment of Brahma, which brings about the complete cessation of samsara. This purpose also indicates the relationship between the book and its subject matter. The former is the explainer and the latter is the thing explained. The following chapters reveal as clearly as an apple lying in one's hand. For the attainment of the knowledge described in the Upanishads, certain qualifications are necessary. The following are the four qualifications with which a student of Vedanta must be endowed when approaching a teacher for instruction in the knowledge of Brahman. A. Discrimination, Viveka. between the real and the unreal. B. Renunciation, vairagyam of the unreal. C. A group of six virtues, namely calmness of mind, sama, withdrawal of the sense organs from their objects, dhamma, keeping the mind undisturbed by external objects, uparti, patient bearing of all afflictions, titiksha, faith in the words of the teacher, shraddha, and self-settledness or unceasing of concentration of the mind on Brahma, samadhana, and D. Longing for freedom, mumukshutta. The knowledge concerning the competency of students, the subject matter, the purpose, and the relationship. Now we shall proceed to explain the book to the best of our understanding. The interest of a pupil in studying a scripture is stimulated if he is informed of the subject matter, the precise relationship of the book to the subject matter, and the purpose served by its study. Therefore, a scripture discusses these points at the very outset. To these writers on Vedanta add a fourth point, namely the qualifications of a competent pupil. These are the four indispensable factors treated of in all authoritative Vedantic treatises. Sankaracharya mentions them in his introduction in order to demonstrate that the Katha Upanishad is a proper treatise on the Vedanta philosophy. Invocation. Om. May Brahma protect us both. May Brahma bestow upon us both the fruit of knowledge. May we both obtain the energy to acquire knowledge. May what we both study reveal the truth. May we cherish no ill feeling towards each other. Om, peace, peace, peace. Protect by revealing the true nature of knowledge, both the perceptor and the disciple. Ill feeling, etc., owing to unclear instruction on the part of the perceptor or imperfect understanding on the part of the disciple. The idea is, may there be no ill feeling between us on account of any mistake committed by the one or the other, through carelessness or for some other reason. Peace. The word is thrice repeated in order to remove the three possible obstacles that both the teacher and the disciple may meet with, namely physical illness, natural calamity, and injury from harmful animals. The Supreme Lord is invoked at the commencement and the termination of the study of the Vedas and other scriptures for the removal of all faults committed intentionally, unintentionally, carelessly, or through excitement, oversight, or non-observance of the proper rules. So this was all the introductory part of this Upanishad. So I end this video here. Next video will start first chapter of the Katha Upanishad. Thank you for watching this video. Namaste, my dear friends.